Take two. What's up, everybody? This week's episode of Legendary is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV.
GameBreaker TV.
Bing bong, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary for May 2nd, 2013. This is episode 124. I'm Gary Gannon, and coming up on tonight's show, we've got a surprise announcement from a top rating guild. Ghost Callers talking tri-spec, and the crazy PvP changes just keep on a-coming. All that and more. But first, from tankspot.com, the weekly Marmot PST, and just about everything else on the internet, it's Josh Allen, a.k.a. Lore. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Feeling good, feeling good. We'll talk about some stuff. All right, and from WoW Insider and GameBreaker TV, all the way from England, it's Olivia D. Grace.
Hello.
Hello!
Hello! How's it going?
Amazing. You might be a little loud.
Sorry, let me fix that.
I don't know. Might be a little. I'm not sure.
I'll fix it.
Let me
I'll be
see.
really quiet.
No, you're
I'll talk
actually
really
good.
quietly.
Actually, no. Actually, it's my headphones are so loud from pre-show of Slayer that
You've just been rocking out too hard to the Slayer.
yeah, I was just like,
That's what it
wow,
is.
that's loud. And back again this week, just because he can't get enough of us, or we can't get enough of him. I'm not sure which way it is, but it's the host of Convert to Raid, Mr. Pat Krane. How are you, sir?
I can't quit you guys.
Oh,
I can't. He actually can't. We actually just won't let
Literally,
him.
genuinely,
No.
we won't let him leave.
Right.
He's
Pat,
been
you
here
hang
since
up.
last week.
Pat, you hang up.
No,
You
hang
up.
up.
Pat, you hang up.
Oh, all right.
He doesn't get the joke. Damn. So first up this week, somebody on the team, one of our team, made a pretty big announcement this week.
Olivia, what did you announce?
Do you know that Olivia shoots crossbows and
I
lights
should
shit
never
on
have told you
fire?
this. I should never have told you about this. I should never have mentioned it.
You shoot
You really
crossbows
shouldn't.
that you have to like cock with your foot. Like, what even is that?
She's like
how
medieval
you-
weaponry. Wait a minute. Wait. She built a trebuchet in her backyard.
Trebuchets. That's amazing.
That is true.
I want a new
Yeah.
Game Breaker show, and I'm like, seriously, Liv's Hobbies is the show, and it's
Right.
her like shooting crossbows, lighting shit on fire, and building trebuchets. I'm telling.
This is what we do in the countryside in England. This is just perfectly
Wow.
normal behavior.
I'm watching chat room, and they're just like blowing up because they're just like, holy, I'm telling you, that is the biggest show for Game Breaker TV right now. Liv and shooting crossbows. I wish I could have recorded the conversation today because we just had it all played out. It was like a movie. We had Liv like on horseback with like fire behind her, and she was just like, she just shot a pheasant like, and it was stuck in the tree, and then she just kind of like just walked away. Just,
That's like amazing.
yeah, she didn't even
Let me
speak.
see.
She just turns her
Bye,
back.
guys, bye.
She just turns her back to the camera and just walks away. And there's just this shot of her with the fire behind her, just walking with a crossbow slung over her shoulder. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of this is true.
All right. But I'm stealing somebody's thunder, I guess. So
You are.
we teased you a little bit about it last week at the tail end of Legendary that Josh had a very, very big announcement. He's finally let the cat out of the bag. He's building a trebuchet in his backyard. No, you're going to work for Blizzard, hired by the old Blizzard Entertainment.
Yeah.
So you did a whole announcement on the stream, and yay, lore! Yes, we're all very, very, very excited for you. So if you guys weren't watching the stream on Wednesday, he did a live stream and talked about a lot of the stuff and answered a lot of the questions because, of course, the community has a ton of questions, right? But you're joining the community team in Irvine, California, right in my hood.
Mhm.
So there's going to be somehow that I'm going to strong arm you into the studio at some point and drink. That's going to happen. So somehow, not sure what there'll be on the stream, but it'll happen. But you're going to be working alongside like Zarheim.
Which is the proper way to pronounce it. We've been
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Yeah, just watch out for that guy. Stay away from the wacky tobacco. He likes to.
He's a bad influence.
He is a bad
is.
influence.
He's a
He is.
gateway. Zarheim is a gateway.
He's a
drug.
gateway to other.
He's a
heavier
gateway community
duty.
manager.
He's a gateway to
does.
Bashiok.
Man, I tell you, I hung
And
out
that
with him
guy,
once.
see, he can
I
only
hung out with
lead.
him once, and now I'm going to be a community manager.
There you go.
That's
He's a
how
gateway.
it is. I'm a gateway.
See?
He's a gateway community manager.
He's got you hooked.
Wow.
See, he's got you hooked.
Mm-hmm.
For
He
shame.
has Zarheim, Bashiok,
Zarheim,
all the
not
other
even
CMs.
Didn't inhale.
Yeah, I was just gonna. That was my joke. That was my next joke. But Josh, seriously, we got to talk about this a little bit, right? We got to, I mean, I don't know. Can you give us any more detail on exactly what you're going to be doing at Blizzard? Like, what does that job entail?
Well, my first goal is going to be to become Chris Metzen.
You're doing a pretty good job
Going well
already.
so far. Yeah, good.
Gotta do the whole like tinted glasses indoors thing. Just get really excited about stuff. Ah, sorry.
Use the word epic non-ironically as much as
Epic.
possible.
Blood and thunder, etc. Yeah. There aren't a lot of details I can give about exactly what I'm gonna be doing out there just yet, but there's some really big stuff in the works. I'll put it that way. Very exciting things on the way.
Talk about a tease. Talk about a tease.
Yeah,
I can't really say
God.
anything except
I
it's
would-
really important and
I
it's
cannot
really
say-
big.
Secret.
I don't want to get fired like before I'm even there. Okay. I'd like to give that at least like a week or two, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my tinfoil hat.
Oh no, I don't even know where mine is.
It doesn't do me any
I have
good to
one
even
yet.
put mine on anymore.
Yeah.
Josh
late
is
for you.
lead
Too late.
developer
Yeah.
on Titan.
That's an official.
That's it.
It's an official
That's it.
announcement.
Oh, look at that. Right here on Game
Wow.
Breaker. You heard it here first.
Josh, I know you answered a lot of these questions to a lot of people, but there's still lots of people who want to know because they love you so much. The big question that a lot of people want to know is like, what's going to happen for all your content? Legendary, PST, Tank Spot, Weekly Marmot, all the stuff you do on the internets.
For the short term, at the very least, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna have to stop all of that, and that sucks a little bit. But there is a very real chance of at least some of that stuff coming back, and hopefully, like I think it's very, very promising. If you pay attention to StarCraft at all, you know that Blizzard's been doing a lot more stuff with like video content for StarCraft. With they even had a Cloakin going on like podcasts and stuff. So I'm hoping that they will let me do some of that stuff too, and it's sounding at least promising in that regard. So I think there's a very real chance of at least some of my own content coming back at some point. It's something that I'm just gonna have to talk about with Blizzard once I'm actually out there and in the office and everything, getting settled in. But there is a very real chance of at least some of that stuff coming back, and I think there's a good shot at seeing some of that other stuff, like what the StarCraft team has been doing, coming out very soon too.
So I mean, obviously, doing video content has been your life now for years, right? But dude, seriously, no joke. How freaking excited are you? Seriously, like, could you only? Because I thought about this, and like, you only got to talk about to yourself on the stream because you did it so. But seriously, dude, you gotta be just like, holy shit, like. I sat and talked about World of Warcraft for a couple years on the internet, and now I'm going to work with like the entire team. Like,
Yeah.
It has been a pretty wild ride, actually, getting it, like, starting out as, like, I just played during Classic, didn't do anything at all. During Burning Crusade, I was a forum moderator at Main Tankin, which is a great site, don't get me wrong, but I was a forum moderator, that was it. And then I just sort of, like, Wrath of the Lich King, Tank Spot, Cataclysm, even more Tank Spot, like, just constantly building, and then Cataclysm was when I started at Gamebreaker as well. And just building up from there, and it's just kind of this sort of snowball that came out of just playing the game all these years ago. It's nuts. And yeah, kind of all of it, just looking back over like all the things that had to go wrong over the years for this to actually end up happening. Like I honestly, I would have never gotten into the video thing if I hadn't gotten like they downsized my hours at a job I was working at before. They were like, "Hey, listen, we can't afford to pay you full time anymore. We do still want you to come in, but we're going to cut down your hours a little bit." And I was like, "All right." And so in order to make up some of that extra, I had to start doing something else. So that's when I started doing the video content. If that had never happened, which sucked at the time, right? I was super pissed about that. But if that had never happened, I would not be going to work at Blizzard right now. So it's just kind of like, wow. Just wow. That's
Thank you, corporate America, for downsizing.
Exactly.
Of course, America.
Everybody, I keep seeing this come up, and people want to know how you got the job. My answer is Gamebreaker. Obviously, we're the gateway for jobs. Oh. You're like,
yeah.
No, seriously. How did you get the job? Like, how did it go down? Like, did you just go apply? Did they approach you? Did you approach them?
Yeah, it was. They posted a community representative position on the site a while ago, and it was one that I was kind of thinking about, and I was like, I mean, I guess I could apply. I don't know if I'd get it or not. I guess I'd apply for it. And then I like started talking to a couple people about it, and they were like, "No, yes, apply for this. You have to apply for this. This is perfect. You need to do this." So I was like, all right, fine, geez. I guess I'll apply for the job. And then they were like, "Hey, we'd like to interview you." And I was like, right. Like, holy crap.
I mean, why not? You're like the perfect candidate to work over there. I mean, you're a huge evangelist for the company. You've been talking about the game for years. Like, you've called. I mean, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but how many things have we called on this show that have been right? Like, there's a lot of really good positives on this. I mean, I know for the rest of us, it's like kind of like the entire internet right now. It's kind of a bit of mixed emotions because it's like we're all super excited that you're going on this journey and you're going over to Blizzard. We're all sad to see you leave. Legendary is not going to be the same without you. It's going to be different. It's going to still go on, but
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you guys on that one too. Like, I'm super stoked to be going to work for Blizzard, but I'm gonna miss doing all this other stuff too. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'll find some way to get at least something back in some fashion. We'll see.
Well, it's a new journey. You got to be stoked. And I couldn't be happier. And like I said,
I love the area too. Like every time I've been out in the Irvine area, it's amazing. So
I think Irvine, if I'm right, somebody just told me this, that Irvine was actually created by a punch card computer. Like literally, like the entire layout of the city was done by a computer. So it's just a grid. Like that's how they came out with the topography of Irvine, was just like a computer was like, this is what it looks like. And then they built it. I'm pretty sure that's right. Look that up. I don't know. How many more episodes do we have you for then? Because you're not leaving like today.
No, I'm still doing all my normal content up until the end of May, which I think is, I think it's actually counting this one 5 more episodes. But there's one weekend where I will probably be out of town and I'll have to miss that episode. But
all right, well, we got you for a few more episodes. So
yeah, I'm still here for a month at least.
I'm here for you, bro.
Like literally, like you're where I'm moving to.
I know. Literally. I meant, I was like, I didn't follow it up. It's like, I'm here for you if you need me to help you unpack your moving truck or whatever you need. Like, I'm there for you. So. All right.
Awesome.
Let's talk about some real.
Gannon to work. It'll be awesome. We'll turn it around.
I'm there. I will be there. If you need help, bro, I'm there. All right. Lots of real news to cover. Not that Josh's news is not real. It's fake news. Fake. He's totally trolling. He lied. Totally not true. Just made the
it's an elaborate scheme. I got Blizzard in on it. It's going to be amazing. You have no idea.
He got tons of views. He had like 4K yesterday on the stream. So he's just doing it to get video views on Twitch. That's really what he's doing.
Right.
So first up this week, in crazy, just out of left field news, in the raiding scene, we talk a lot about the raiding scene here, right? And the big surprise this week is that Exodus have completely thrown in the towel. They're done. It's over. Killers, who is one of Vodka's rogues, who came over with the merger. Because remember we were talking about Vodka and Exodus merged. What was that? Just a couple weeks ago? Month ago? 2 months ago, maybe?
A couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah, shortly before the race started. Shortly before the Throne of Thunder race.
Yeah, which is also really interesting, right? It's just a couple months ago. They just merged. And now he came on and posted this on Facebook just last week. He said, I'll confirm the news here for anyone not in the loop or questioning the rumors. Exodus will no longer continue to function as a 25-man raiding guild. He goes on to say, this game isn't to blame for Vodka Exodus' demise. It's the raiding community. It's an inevitable sort of flaw in the competition of top-end raiders. He says, what I mean by this, of course, the time commitment and the level of sheer dedication and determination it takes and costs to be at the very top. Combine this with Blizzard actually putting new content out faster, alts playing a big role, PTR, beta, dailies, coins, black market auction house. Well, you just get lost in it all. He says, the competition is slim because the competition is literally eating each other. Good luck to everyone left in the race for this X-Pack, but I don't know how much longer this sort of thing can last. Wow. Okay. Wow. Lots to kind of like sift through here and kind of pull apart. But let's start with this. Like I said, Vodka and Exodus just merged a couple of months ago. I mean, now looking back, does anybody have any insight? Were these guilds like in a really bad state at that point, obviously, and that was the whole point of the merge, that they were trying to save them?
They really were. I know that they were both struggling to find quality players to fill out a full 25-man team, which is why they did the merger in the first place. But I think that there were some serious personality conflicts between the style of Vodka and the style of Exodus. And I've talked to some people that have played for both, and I think the writing was on the wall when they did the merger in the first place. It was not good news to hear that those two teams were merging together.
Did it occur to you at the time, Pat, that like, you know, even the fit would be weird, that like even as when it went down, did it feel like it was weird?
Yeah, I mean, they both have very different play styles, and so it seemed like it was going to be just a very strange coming together of two U.S. teams that really didn't make much sense together. And as it turned out, I don't think that there were that many members of Vodka that actually went into the new Exodus, as I recall. But and that may be telling too, as far as why they're calling it quits now.
Yeah, and the other thing here is that guild mergers really are just kind of they're a coin flip at best. Any time that you merge two guilds together, there's always going to be, like, even the times in the past where in Months Behind, which is significantly more casual than, you know, Vodka and Exodus were, where we've, you know, brought in other guilds that were like falling apart or something. We have never like fully merged with somebody, but we've brought in other guilds that were falling apart, and we said, hey, we're going to grab all of your members and you can hang out. It rarely works out where everyone stays. Usually after the dust settles from all that, there's only like maybe one or two people that's left over at the end of it. So it's just something where, I mean, we can look at this from the perspective of top guilds having problems and such, and obviously there's a lot going on there as well. But at the same time, it's also important to remember that it was a guild merger, right? Those tend to have problems. They tend to not work. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Different personalities clashing, who knows, like you said, different play styles.
Right.
But I think, so I want to talk about, like, I want to unpack this a little bit and talk about like the bigger picture here, because obviously there's a lot more that he talks about, and we kind of took a lot of it out that we cut out here. He goes into more detail, but what do you think this, like, what does this mean for the state of top end rating? I mean, how do you guys feel about this? How have things progressed this far that, like, is this really, it almost sounds like he just feels like the whole entire top end guild rating is just basically doomed.
It's definitely a lot of work these days, and it's just sort of been a natural progression as time goes on. Like, back during Classic, being a top rating guild meant that you had 40 people that weren't idiots. Like, that was what being a top end rating guild was back then. You had to, like, you successfully found 40 people that cannot stand in the bad. Good work. You are now world first. There you go. And then as time has gone on, like, we've seen things like alts becoming more and more important. Like during Wrath of the Lich Kings, when we really started to see alt runs sort of come out. And since then, it's sort of progressed to the point where these top guilds, they're not just alt running on, like, just, oh, we'll just gear up some alts so that eventually we can have some extra random people. No, they're like, that's part of the progression, is we need to have a full stable of characters, like 4 or 5 characters per player, to actually be able to keep up with. I know there's some guilds that haven't been doing that, specifically haven't been doing that, and Exodus was one of them, where I believe they were one of them, where they just said, no, listen, we're not going to do the alt thing. We're just going to, because that's going to burn us out. We're not going to do that. And then they get world, I think it was 5th raid-in, something like that. Yeah. And then they just kind of went, ugh, this isn't working out. This merger isn't working. We're not getting the results that we wanted. So it's something that, yeah, nowadays, you got to put a lot of work in to be a top-end raid. Like the world first raid, you got to put a lot of work in.
Let me ask, maybe, I'm sure somebody has some more insight, but how many hours do you think a top end raiding guild puts in on a daily or weekly basis? Like
during progression?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about crazy hours when it's actually during progression. You're talking 12 plus hours a day that they're
how many
actually
days
going
a week?
every day. I mean, they have to do dailies. They have to do.
You're talking 12
all
hours
these
a day,
different things.
7 days a week.
I mean,
More than that, even 16 hours
Right.
Yeah.
is what some guilds have been saying. Yeah, it's
so
nuts.
it's crazy. The
Maybe
amount
they
of time
should.
that,
Maybe
and-
they should shut down, and maybe they should all get jobs.
Well, here's the thing about
time for
that.
this. 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for a raiding
Here's the
progression
thing about
guild.
that. Here's the thing about that, though, and this is something I was actually talking to Olivia about a while ago, and I'm sure that she can chime in and give me some more information on like actual details or whatever. But the one thing that one bit of information that I've come into knowledge of recently is that at least in like England, there's like mandatory almost a month of time off, that like vacation time that they get a year.
Oh,
In the
yeah,
US
yeah.
In the US, we're lucky to get a week.
Yeah, we
So
don't
this
need
is
that.
something
We're like,
where-
keep working.
True.
It's good. It's good for you.
Yeah,
Just keep
so I mean,
working. Don't
not-
stop.
Not trying to say, not trying to pull the grass is greener card here or anything, but it is something that helps a little bit when you have more of that vacation time to be able to say, and obviously not every country in Europe does this either, but it's something where you're able to say, okay, well, I can take, a week of my vacation time, and it turns out that that's most of the progression period anyway. So I don't have, I can still have a normal job. I can still go to college and all this, or university, or whatever you guys call it over there. I can still
Uni.
do all this stuff.
yeah, you.
Uni, that's what we call it.
Sorry, but I can still do it. Whereas in America, you kind of can't do that.
No.
If you go, excuse
Take
me,
that
sir,
week. Take
I'm
that
gonna
week.
I'm gonna need a week and a half off every, I don't know,
You're
6
fired.
months. They're just
You're
gonna
fired. You're
Yeah.
fired. Get out of here.
Yep.
All right. So what do you guys think this means for top end rating? Is it doomed? Olivia, what do you think? Is top end rating just? Is he? He sounds like he's all doom and gloom.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's not great. Put it that way. I mean, I think the more this happens, and the fewer and fewer guilds that we have, who are sort of the well-known guilds who are providing interesting progression in the world first race, the less interesting it's going to get. I mean, look at Paragon. And they were an amazing, world first getting 25-man guild, and now they've gone down to 10-man, and they're just the only contenders. And the 10-man race is just, leaving all the 10 and 25-man stuff to one side for just a second. The 10-man race is dull because there's not enough competitors. I mean, at least with the 25 race, you've got Method and you've got Blood Legion, who are still there and still going, and you've got some new ones coming in as well. You've got the Russians, you've got the Envy coming in as well from the EU. And doubtless countless other guilds that I'm missing. But at least there's that element of competition in there. But if that goes, then that's a really bad thing for the sort of hardcore progression raiding. But on the other hand, I don't think it will. I mean, it certainly seems like, and I know I can see that Trekkie's sitting in our chat again, probably about to provide clarity, but it seems like these guys in Method have fun. They don't come out of it trying to stab each other in the eye, and are just generally filled with hate and rage. So at least those guys seem to be enjoying themselves, and they probably don't enjoy the dailies and the leveling outs and the leveling monks. That was one particular thing they mentioned at the beginning of this expansion, was we need some more monks.
Why did this expansion change so much? What is it about this expansion that really was kind of like the straw that broke the
dailies?
Was it
Well,
dailies?
it's not dailies.
Is it that, and also the cadence of content has gotten so much faster that's also been a part of it?
Yes.
Sure.
This expansion is not alt friendly whatsoever.
No.
I mean, it's
getting better.
You really have to work at it. Yeah, now it's getting better finally. But at the beginning, at 5.0, alts were just really not much of an option unless you really wanted to invest the time. I struggled. I got all my tunes to 90, and then I was like, oh crap! Now I got to do all this other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If I want gear, I got to do all this other stuff, and I just don't have the time for it. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think just to get back to an earlier question, I don't necessarily think that top end rating is doomed per se. It's just the current state of it is non-sustainable. There's always going to be top end rating. There's it's a list, right? There's always got to be a number one on that list, no matter what. So whatever goes on, there's always going to be some of the top. It's just whether or not this state of crazy alts and everything, non-stop rating like that, is that something that we can maintain? I know that like Blood Legion has just gone crazy with like alts and stuff in this expansion. Like one of the rumors I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but one of the rumors I heard is that they were asking for like 6 mandatory alts before Throne of Thunder.
Wow! My
like,
God!
What?
That's
Wait,
insane!
What? Yeah.
What?
But
That's crazy.
That is
and
crazy.
Sometimes it's even the same classes. They're just like, listen, we just need to have more than one of you for certain things. But yeah, anyway, it's, and again, I don't know if that rumor is true or not. That was just something that I heard. But I do think that there's a point where that will like people will just burn out and they say, I don't want to do this anymore. But as that happens, then, you know, when the guilds like Exodus burn out, and, you know, God forbid, maybe at some point, Blood Legion and Method decide, you know what, we're done. We're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Paragon decides we're too tired of being the easy first in 10 I don't know why they would do that all, but like I don't. Even if for whatever reason these guys said no, we're done, there's guilds right behind them that would then step up. So and
we even saw that this race with Midwinter. They were kind of a surprise for me. I mean, kind of a nice surprise actually, because they were always kind of top 20, and now we see them top 10, and that's pretty cool to see guilds like that step up and be a part and really try to kick some bootay.
I think the fear for probably a lot of people on the outside though is that like, okay, there's a bunch to step in their shoes and keep it going, but if it really becomes to that point where they all get burnt out, I mean, is it just going to be like 1 or 2 top guilds just duking this thing out? I mean, that's not really going to be that much fun. And then the second thing, the follow up is sort of like, should Blizzard be like doing anything about this? Like, should they be really looking at this saying like, hey, how much does this affect the average player? Probably not that much.
And that was about what I was going to say too. I think once we get to that point where, like, if we end up in that point where there are only like 1 or 2 top guilds, that's the point where Blizzard should step in and say, okay, no, we need to do something about this because the race is just not interesting anymore. It's always Paragon and 10-man. It's always Method or somebody in 25-man. There's never any sort of competition here at all. I think that's the point where Blizzard should step in and say, okay, listen, you are clearly capable of putting in a lot more effort than everyone else. So we're going to scale back what you can actually do at that point. Let me do something. There's ways to do that. But
Josh, how much does the race in the grand scheme of things really matter to Blizzard? Like, we talk about it here on this show and we follow it, but I mean, in all actuality and like in the grand scheme of the game, is it really, do you think, a top priority for them that like we don't lose this? I know, like, publicly they would probably. Well, now you're a Blizzard employee, so you can't really. You're going to be like, not yet.
To be very clear right now,
I was going to ask a question.
I have to be very clear about this. I am not yet a Blizzard employee. Nothing that I'm saying right now is representative of Blizzard.
Okay, because I was afraid you were going to give me some PR speak, and all of a sudden, like, Bash was going to zap me with a taser and be like, Blizzard cares completely about the rating progression race, and we always want to serve our customers better.
Right.
There. I'm protected.
But my thing is, like, how much? Because I would almost tend to lean on the side of like, of course, publicly you would always be like, yes, we care very much about this. But I guess on the other side, like, how many people are that? How much does that? How many people actually pay attention to that? And how does that actually keep that many people into the game?
I think it's a good motivation. Honestly, I think it is still important to the race in the grand scheme of things, because when you think about it, like, I mean, look at another sport. How many kids start playing baseball because they want to be like their favorite sports heroes? How many kids start playing football because they want to be like Tim Tebow or something? I don't know why you'd want to do that, but why? Like, how many people?
He was released.
Hey, he just got released. Exactly. Said, I want to be Tim Tebow. Okay, sorry.
But I mean, how many kids are saying they're like, oh, I want to be Barry Sanders when I grow up? So they grab the football and they start running like crazy. I think the same sort of mentality applies to raiders in World of Warcraft, where they say, man, I want to start raiding because one day I want to be like Trekkie. I want to be like Rignaros. I want to be like these guys and doing this stuff. And I think that actually does serve as a great motivation for a lot of the guilds around months behind's quality, where we look at these top guilds and sure, we sit back and we say, hey, we only raid 3 days a week. There's no way we will ever be a viable contender for World First, but we'll still look at them and we'll sort of compare how fast they progress to how fast we progress. And we go, we're not as far behind as we really could be this particular tier. You know, we successfully cleared normal in the first week. They cleared heroic in the first week. All right, we're basically world first right now. I still think it's a good thing.
Well, you have
it's
a
healthy
name.
for people to have.
You're called months
to
behind. You have a reputation to uphold.
You have a reputation. Exactly.
Right.
You can't be going into the top 10.
Right.
You'd just be ruining it.
No.
Yeah.
It is important though to have that kind of enthusiasm though. I think that always building enthusiasm within the game, and these guys are definitely doing that by having a leaderboard and saying, oh my God, who's going to get there first, and there is a little bit of anticipation, a little bit more enthusiasm in the game, and these guys help create it, which is great.
So the big question then, Pat, or Olivia, anyway, but should Blizzard really be paying very close attention to this and the kind of stepping in if this becomes a problem?
I think it's...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's important that they, obviously, not only is this race probably... I mean, yeah, okay, on Legendary we do a ton of talking about this. On other WoW news sites and other information sites, they do a ton of talking about this. This is news, it's interesting, it's exciting, it's a race. But what percentage of the player base are affected by it? What percentage are really watching it every week? Like, I mean, I know I do, because I find it really exciting.
That's where I'm standing on that side of the fence a little bit, going like,
and but then like what Josh was saying before about, but then on the other side you got what Josh was saying, which was like, the people who say, oh yeah, they got it in a week, this is a really easy race, or oh my God, it took them forever to take down Lei Shen, wow, this must be the best tier of raiding ever, and listen to those guys saying that it's really hard and it's the best fight they've ever seen, and all of that. It's such a difficult thing to balance, and they have to cater to the masses as well. I mean, it's not, the majority of their player base is not hardcore raiders. It's definitely not the top 10 guilds.
I'm only picking out one thing that he talks about here, and I'm not saying that this is the only thing, but I even brought it up as well, is that he brings up, how the cadence of content has been a lot faster, and they've been releasing content quicker, right?
Yeah.
We have talked about over how many episodes how the majority of World of Warcraft players, including everybody here, is super excited for the faster releases. Like, so again, it's like some of the things that they've done to make the majority of the World of Warcraft community happy could also be having negative effects on this. And it's like, okay, do we slow content down like that? To me, that would be crazy.
If they're slowing content down just because some world first guilds are getting a bee in their bonnet, they're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see. I cannot wait to have to deal with the forum post about that one when that happens. When it's like, oh, by the way, we decided we're going to delay this another 2 months because
of the mental health of 50 people.
Is angry. Like, okay, that's it. I like you guys and all, but not that much. Like,
yeah, really.
I don't want to have to deal with the vitriol that would come out of the forums at that point.
I do think that you can actually tell some certain issues when you're dealing with the top tier guilds, the struggles that they go through, the problems that they have. They could be, they're not always, indicative of what the normal folks are going through, the ones that are trudging through normals right now even, or just getting into heroics. They might be having some of the same struggles because they don't have the same type of schedule that those top tier heroic guys have. So there are some things that they might be able to extrapolate to everybody else, but probably not that.
I do think that if it comes down to it, the answer isn't to release content slower, it's to release content that can be cleared faster. I think if it comes down to that point and we're saying, okay, listen, this, like, people are just not done with this. The error made there was not that, oh, they released the patch too soon. It's that the content took too long to clear. And they could literally, if they could pump out a new raid instance every couple of months, like every 2 months, say there's a new raid instance that comes out, and it just happens to take 2 months to clear the rest of it, I think that would still be fine at that point. You would just, you'd churn through content like crazy, but I think raiders would grow accustomed to that and be actually okay with having new content all the time. Like, when was the last time you heard raiders say, man, I really wanted to farm the same 16 bosses?
Yeah, those bosses, I miss them. But also, I think there's been a real big shift in their philosophy regarding, again, going back to talking about the outside of things. And I mean, I saw Spy Trekkie in chat saying that they have one main and one main out, and anything else is a bonus. So maybe that's why they're maintaining their sanity a bit more, if the rumors Josh heard about Blood Legion are true. But then the difference between alts in this expansion and alts in Cataclysm is insane. I mean, I think it was too far over to the easy gearing up side in the Cataclysm days. But in my opinion, at least, as someone who likes having a lot of alts and is probably therefore somewhat biased, it swung way too far in the opposite direction in Mists.
Yeah.
And I think that's, to me, when I was reading that stuff that Killer's put up on his Facebook page, that was the biggest thing I was sort of thinking about all the way through it, is that there's so much more of a grind been brought in the beginning of Mists of Pandaria. And it is getting better now. With this tier, it's getting better because, I mean, for those of us who aren't, those normals among us, the muggles of WoW raiding, we can just keep running the LFR and we can grind out our Valor, and, you know, we've got time on our hands, and it's easier to do it now. But yeah, maybe there's that element as well. Maybe it's just making the grind a bit less to get geared to an initial raiding stage. I don't.
Wasn't Alt that like little Muppet alien guy from that like
Alf.
90s TV show?
Alf.
Eight cats.
Alf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why
That's
you're so
right.
excited about that guy. Where this is the World of Warcraft show.
I know.
Sorry, I'm getting carried away.
Now, the other thing that, you know, he doesn't go into it all, which I don't know if we'll ever really know whether it was an issue or not an issue, but he doesn't touch on it at all, is just if there was a lot of internal strife, struggle, like, you know, burnout, personalities just kind
I'm
of
sure there was
clashing.
burnout, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
so
I
there
did
could be a
doubt.
lot of other internal things that are completely external from Blizzard or the game or anything like that, and that might be interesting too. I think what's going to be really interesting to see if this sort of like starts trickling down to other guilds and we start seeing it happen to more than these guys, because then it might start to be a red flag. At this point, it might not be. Side note, Josh, when you actually do work for Blizzard, your first job there should be. Can you unban Towley? I kind of like his forum posts, so I don't know. Maybe you could just. I know you can make that happen, so you've got the power to do that. So just unban him from the forums, because he's a bro. All right, I want to talk about some crazy PvP stuff. Hang on, I'm just gonna count my Towley money. Just paid me to kind of say that. I want to talk about some ridiculous PvP stuff going on, but first I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, and that's of course Netflix. I love our sponsors, and Netflix is awesome. If you guys go over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV, you can sign up today for a free 30-day trial. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but all new episodes of Arrested Development coming May 26th. So not only can you catch up right now on all the past seasons of Arrested Development on Netflix, but a lot of people don't realize this, but Netflix is becoming like their own studio, and they're creating their own shows now. And I'm talking like really good shows. House of Cards got amazing reviews.
Hemlock Grove.
Yes.
Hemlock Grove is awesome. So
They're
Go
doing
check it out.
it. They're knocking it out of the park. Like I think like
They're actually.
what's that?
I would say they're actually bringing Arrested Development back.
Yes, with new. They
You didn't
funded all
know?
new episodes. That's what I'm
the biggest
saying.
news of 2013 TV.
I don't watch much TV, but I was a huge Community fan, and when they
Well-
took Dan Harmon off of that show, I was like super sad. So
See, I don't consider Netflix TV. That's why I do this, because I'm like, it's not really like it's on my TV, but it's like
it's
no,
not
you can't
TV.
watch. You can't watch this on
everywhere.
cable. Yeah, you have to get Netflix for it. So it's only on Netflix because they're paying for the whole thing. And they're like a television network now. They're
It is
funding all
great.
these like amazing episodic shows. So sign up today. Go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Sign up for a free 30-day trial. It's totally free. You download the app. I'm sure you have it
Great.
on something or other. Your iPad, your iPhone, your PS3, your Xbox.
Wii.
Everything's got it. Wii or your PC. And you can start watching some stuff tonight. So definitely check it out. All right, let's talk about some crazy PvP stuff. It's time for the. I feel like I need like a bumper, like a little sound jingle thing. It's time for this week's crazy, ridiculous PvP change from World of Warcraft. Right? This is becoming like a
This
weekly
is a thing. It's
thing.
totally a thing, and we're totally doing that. We're getting a theme song and a write a theme tune, sing.
you just get like a little. This is what Brian Holinka said this week.
yeah, from Brian
Seriously.
Holinka's warped mind. The Holinka files.
I like it.
That's awesome.
We're gonna start building segments into the shows. We'll be like a real television show. Imagine that.
What? No, we can't do that.
No, we got to do crossbows and burning stuff down. Trebuchet.
Priority list.
You know what I'm talking about, Liv. All right.
I do. I've heard
All right,
stories.
so let's check this out. So late last week, a new build hits the PTR, and it's got a huge nerf for PvP power. No, you wanted me to say it, but I didn't say it. Basically, what they did was lower the damage increase that you get per point of PvP power by a little over a third. So where before, in order to get like 1% more damage against players, you need 265 PvP power. Now you need 400. So it's a pretty big change. Olivia's BFF, Brian Holinka, tweeted this shortly after he killed some crazy aliens on another planet. He says, PvP power change intentional, reduce gear gap, reduce burst. I want to read PvP power change intentional, reduce gear gap, reduce bursty damage / shield gameplay, reduce power of sockets. Like, so I love
it's almost like a Morden Solus sort of thing.
Yeah. Fragmented Twitter. Love it. So there's more to this, but I want to stop here first. What's he talking about?
What? Just what?
What is he talking about here? Like, how is this change going to help all of that? What's going on?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got to bear in mind with 5.3, we've essentially, and we'll get onto this more later on in the show, we've got pretty much a flat number for PvP resilience, which is very similar to what people who are conquest geared have got as their PvP resilience at the moment. So he's saying that obviously PvP power is maths, but also the counterpoint to PvP resilience. So if they do stuff which basically nerfs your PvP power, so the PvP power you can get off of gear is substantially lessened, that should mean you've got less burst damage going out, less healing going out, and more of a sort of a return to, hopefully, the longer, slower games with less just upfront pressure being put out by there's certain classes who are more problematic for this than others. But that's a sort of long and short of what they're shooting for. I mean, he in his robotic tweet, he makes some pretty good points. But it's kind of interesting. There are various reasons why people are freaking out. Inevitably, it's the PvP communities. We freak out about everything.
Of course.
Kind of our thing.
There's a new raid being added. Time to freak out.
Yeah, exactly. PvP community freaks out.
Pet battles, better freak out.
Yeah,
That's right.
freaking out right now. So yeah, and it's just sort of, I don't know, they're just working to flatten this out, and there's been a ton of other changes brought in with the same objective. So basically, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
What about the question of gear gap? Because we bring that up a lot on Legendary. 5.2 changes. They seem to be trying to like promote it, but now they're trying to lessen it again. So what do you think's happening? Why are they kind of flip-flopping?
Yeah, I mean, I think the specific thing to remember here with the current PvP gear changes is that they're actually you have the Glorious Conquest stuff, which was the elite gear, which is now changed in patch 5.2 to be obtainable once you earn 27,000 conquest points in the one season. They've now actually pulled that all together from 5.2. They've gone and taken that gear and they're bringing it down already to its 5.3 levels, which is the item level 496, which is a pretty substantial drop from where it was at before they pulled it. Essentially saying that they don't want anyone to have it till 5.3. They've looked at the item level escalation, the stat escalation, and decided that was stupid. They did a bad. It like derp. Sorry guys, we tried to revolutionize the PvP gearing system, and derp. Sorry, but they've basically pulled that out there, and so that is the gear gap thing. That's the item levels were too far apart. And basically, it still just meant that people were going into PvP late season and having outs and so on and so forth, and just getting completely melted by people who are fully geared. And that's not something that they want to happen. So essentially, that's what they're doing.
I feel kind of bad for the people that haven't like until I saw this and I had to freak out for a minute, and I actually had to go look up and try and figure out what was going on because I haven't been like in the 2 months since 5.2 came out. I actually don't even know if I've done any PvP since then. I've been kind of focused on this whole raid thing that released. But like I feel sorry for the people that just aren't really paying too much attention. And,
yeah,
this patch is gonna drop because it's like what kind of mixed messages are they sending right now? Like during before in the 5.2 PTR, they were like, we really want you to have to feel like you need to get better gear to become more powerful. And now in 5.3, they're like, we really feel like you need to get better gear to not do anything. So
we've got this handful of darts and this board, and basically we're just gonna and just see. And like some of them are going to bounce off and they're going to hit the wires, and we'll pick them up and we'll throw that handful if it doesn't quite work this time around. And I mean, they talked about they talked about with the gear gap. Someone's been mentioning it in chat. And just for clarity, no, the item upgrade system is not returning for PvP. Mm-hmm. It is only returning for PvE purposes. There will be no item upgrades available for PvP. Mm-hmm. And that, again, is their change of heart about this whole gear gap thing. They've moved away from the fact of, oh yeah, you can go from just having a high-ish rating, above 2200 to get slightly better gear, to, oh, you don't have to have a high rating. You just got to put that time in. You just got to work hard, and everyone can have amazing gear. And they've sort of gone, oh no, that was a really dumb idea.
I can almost sort of picture like Ghostcrawler and Brian Holinka like doing a whole like a CSI like double keyboard hacking thing. They're like, the PvP changes. They're not working. Quick, rewrite the front side bus. Like, it's like, change everything. Come on. It's not working.
Go.
Quick,
yeah,
quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, it gets even deeper than that, though. So
yeah, we're not done, guys.
I know, we're not even done. So in a more recent PTR update, gems actually got the nerf bat as well. So the amount of PvP power and PvP resilience you could get from gems was actually cut in half. So not only does PvP power give you less of a bonus now, but you can't get as much of it either.
Yeah.
Sad face. All right, there's more. Wait, they've actually nerfed. But wait, we're gonna send you two. No, the amount of resilience you get per point as well. So they've actually nerfed the amount of resilience you're gonna get per point as well, just like they did, just like the PvP power nerf. So what's going on? There has to be a reason for all of this. What has been going on?
I think they've basically just gone, right, PvPers, you've all been very, very naughty, and we're taking away all of your things until you can learn to behave. Yeah, it's just that, and I have to say the PvP resilience nerf, caveat emptor a little bit. It was just something Josh and I were talking about this before the show, went onto the PTR, and just happened to notice that the PvP resilience number was notably different on the PTR than onto live. My BFF has like totally let me down, guys, because he hasn't replied to my tweet yet, and it could just be Gunship. Like Gunship went in and totally messed up the PvP resilience numbers. So don't get overexcited about that. just chill. I know you're the PvP community. You're already freaking out. You've already thrown the computer out of the window. But it's just, honestly, I'm a little confused by this. I really am. I mean, if they wanted to reassure the PvP community that it's okay, guys, PvP power is going to make all the difference. It's going to make sure that your PvP gear is best gear. And also we're nerfing it substantially. I mean, what? I mean, I was so surprised by this. I went on, so to give you some numbers, guys, your pure PvP resilience gem used to have 320, now has 160. Your mixed gem, your Vivid Wild Jade, which was your 160-160, is now 80-80. It's quite substantial nerfs.
In this day and age, a gem with only 80 of a stat on it is
I
like,
know! How rubbish is that? It's just like, what? And it really is. It's just like one of those, what? And, I mean, the responses, well, people are just going to use PvE gems. And I'm kind of thinking, yeah, because oh man, we need someone who could do maths. Could anyone do maths to figure out the actual numbers on this?
Here's the thing about that. As I was digging through Brian's tweets earlier, and someone actually asked him about that. He was like, "Well, we're just gonna gem like strength or agility now." And he was like, "Well, strength, agility, and intellect are PvP stats too." And I looked at that and I went, "Okay, I see your point, sir.
Yeah, I see what you're going.
But now I'm just going to wear my rating gear and be the best there ever was." Like,
right. We've had this special bit of the game for such a long time now. This has been our bit with the resilience and subsequently the PvP power and the PvP resilience, and well, previously spell penetration. But just, oh, wow. I keep writing columns about this which end, don't panic. And I'm really trying hard to heed my own advice. Just chill and not panic, that it's going to be okay, and that they have thought of this. And I mean, it's encouraging that Brian Holinka is communicating so much with the PvP community about these things. But like Josh says, it's like, those are PvE stats.
Right. and that's why I'm kind of excited, actually, because I don't PvP all that much, but, you know, I've got some raid gear. Sure, I'll go in. Maybe I won't die so quick. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that I was thinking about this, is like, we know that they've had problems with PvP participation in the past, like, couple of expansions now.
Right.
I almost wonder if they're looking at things and saying, okay, you know, people who raid, they spend a lot of time raiding, don't have a whole lot of time left over to get the PvP gear. So a lot of people like me, I just never really PvP because I'm like, okay, all I've got is PvE gear. I feel like I have to go and get the PvP gear now.
Yeah,
right.
And in fairness, you kind of do, in order to be effective in any way. That's not a falsehood. That's not a misinterpretation of the situation. That's true.
Yeah, and so I kind of feel like, okay, well, I could PvP, and I like PvPing. Like I have PvP'd even in this expansion. Like I'll go in on my Destruction Warlock and just giggle while I Chaos Bolt people to death and never die because I'm a Warlock.
Right.
And it's fun, but I'm like, here's actually what happened to me during 5.1. Is I was doing some PvP on my Warlock just for fun. I was like, yeah, I'll just go in and do some Battlegrounds, no problem. And I was really enjoying them. I was having a lot of fun. I was Chaos Bolting people like crazy. And then I started looking at all the gear I could get, and I just started going, none of this is actually upgrades. Why would I buy any of this? and then from there, I kind of went into, well, if none of this is worth buying, then why am I running Battlegrounds to get conquest points? Obviously more honor, but you do get some conquest points. Why am I bothering to get any of this stuff? And then it just kind of sours the whole experience. Because I'm like, okay, I guess I'm running this just for fun? What? That's stupid.
I have funsies. Something. That's it. Just for funsies.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's wow.
Hey, Liv. I know I lost your number, girl. Somebody stole my phone.
Wow, Gary. Wow.
I lost your Twitter account. I lost my phone. We're still BFFs. It's all good. Don't worry.
Oh, yay. I'm glad we're still BFFs.
I got you, girl. I got you.
Face palm. Literal, actual, genuine. Like, I put my palm to my face.
You did.
Genuinely.
You
like
genuinely
this.
Did.
I actually did this. Wow.
All right. We got more to talk about. I'm going to move on and talk about some Ghost Crawler Twitter action going on. Before I forget, we have an iPhone app. We have an iOS app. iPhone, iPad. Yes, Gamebreaker. Finally, I should have some like crazy heroic music to play behind me right now, but I don't. But just go to the iTunes store and search Gamebreaker, and you'll find it. Put it on your iPhone, your iPad. Android users, I hate you. Just don't worry about it. It's not coming. Just don't hold your breath.
Wow.
Ouch. Whoa.
Wow.
I don't hate you. Just tired of answering it. No, I hate you. All right, let's move on. Ghost Crawler talked a bunch about Tri-Spec this week on the Twitter again. So it all started with this. He said, we added talents in vanilla, so Rogue 1 and Rogue 2 could be different. With Tri-Spec, what if every rogue feels the same again? Kind of interesting that he's obviously using a rogue there just as an example, but I mean, what do you guys think about this? I mean, is that a legit concern that if they add a Tri-Spec in, that everything would just kind of feel too much like each other?
There certainly would be a lot of expectations put on players to have like a set for everything at that point. If you could, and obviously I would assume that if they were going to do something like Tri-Spec, that they would go ahead and expand that out for Druids as well to have all 4 of their specs. Because it seems kind of weird to be like, Druids, you're the only ones that can't be everything.
It sucks to be you.
Even though that's the whole point of the Druid class, is that you're someone that shapeshifts into everything.
Yeah.
But it could be an issue. Like if as a Paladin rating, for example, if it was just suddenly sort of expected of me to be able to tank and DPS and heal, that would be a lot of burden put on the hybrids at that point. And even on the pure classes, if I had to know, like, okay, on this fight, Demonology is a little bit better. On this fight, Affliction is a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I had to know all the rotations and everything for all of those specs, which obviously at a hardcore rating level is something that people are doing already anyway, but that would filter down even more into just like the average LFR, you'd be like, what do you mean you can't switch into a DPS spec?
Yeah.
We're way over healing this. What do you mean you don't have a DPS spec available? Everybody boot this guy so we can get a healer in here who has a DPS spec. Like that's the kind of mess we'd start going into. So as much as I want tri-spec, because I personally want to be able to switch between all three of my specs, especially on my Warlock.
Right.
I can see the concern here. I can see the potential problem at the very least.
From there, he ends up chatting a bit. He goes on and talks to a couple different people on Twitter. This is one thing though that really stuck out. He said this. He said, "I do worry sometimes the dual spec solved a problem. Talent points were a pain to rebuy. That no longer exists." So what does this mean? Could I mean, the first thing I would say is, could you end up losing dual spec? Like,
whoa.
I saw this and I freaked out.
Whoa.
I just went, you've got to be kidding me. Every single healer in the game is going to hate you.
Yeah.
If you take away dual spec.
As a healer in the game, yeah.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
If they did that. I mean,
is that what he's alluding to?
Dual spec
though?
is working. Dual spec is working.
Yeah.
Don't take it away.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't know, like, I guess the whole thing with the tri-spec stuff is as well as, like, Josh was talking about, there's an element there of, like, at the moment, say you're playing a mage. I mean, I'm not very good at playing a mage. I play fire, so I have my mage is still fire, and I have kind of a fire PvE specific spec and a fire PvP specific spec because I'm just terrible at the other two mage specs. So, I mean, the one thing that was mentioned when I was talking about this with some other people a while back is, at the moment, so I consider myself to be playing a fire mage, and then there's this feeling of, if you have tri-spec and you've got Frost, Fire, Arcane, you're then just a mage who happens to be spec'd fire. And is there some element of immersion and identity there that's at risk as well? And I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a valid concern or not. It sounds like it might be a little bit whiny to be really valid, but I don't know. But I
can totally see that, because, like, looking at myself as more recently a Warlock, but as a Paladin for a long time, I've always sort of identified as a prop paladin, and to an extent a rep paladin as well. I don't lump me in with those holy bastards. I don't care about them. That's not me at all. Like, don't put me in with them. Like, who cares about Velo? Nobody likes him, but he doesn't even heal anyway. But sorry, I'm making jokes at the expense of my guild members right now.
Oh,
but, no, like I can totally see that. Like, people will say I'm a combat rogue. I'm a balanced druid, etc. I think people want to be able to say, this is my spec because this is what I have chosen. And if you give tri-spec, then there's no longer a choice there. It's just you are a druid, and you happen to play balance most of the time. But you might switch to something else.
I think one of the solutions could be if they put a class trainer on a mount. I mean, they've put everything else on a mount for crying out loud. They might as well put a class trainer there, so you can switch specs if you need to, and then reforge on the fly and do all that other kind of stuff, just as a time-saving effort. Minimally, I would love to see that, because I know that there are some instances where raid members need to switch to a spec that they don't have, and because of something that they need to do. So
I mean, what's really like now that you learn everything automatically as well, where's the real flavor of class trainers, apart from being that person who you inevitably have the start zone quest with at level 3 or something, where you have to go and hit a target dummy, and then you go back to them, and then you get to learn charge or whatever, and it's just like, yay, and then I never see you again until level 90, when I need to go back to you purely to change my specialization, not to change my talents or anything like that. Like, would losing that be such a big deal? Or is there some sort of last vestige of a class trainer that people want to hang on to? And I mean, we're getting totally off topic now. Sorry.
I'm just listening to the birds. Sun's coming up.
Oh, I'm glad you like the birds.
I love the birds.
Sun's
I just know it's it's getting close to the 3/4 mark of legendary. I start hearing the birds chirping in the background. The sun's coming up over there. It's like my time, like it's my stopwatch. There's also something in here about, he talks about how storing bars might be more useful than dual spec. So what's up with that?
Now, that's actually something that I've been thinking about a lot lately too. Yes, if they were to do something like right now, switching talents doesn't matter. Like, whatever. I just carry around a stack of tomes and I'm fine. I can just switch talents to whatever I feel like. the real pain, like in the grand scheme of things, if it wasn't for the fact that I have to put all the stuff back on my bars properly,
my god,
then I wouldn't care. Like, I would just go talk to my class trainer every time I needed to respec. I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Feel like being Affliction again? He'd be like, sure, you got it, High Roller. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm Affliction. Like, it wouldn't be a problem. So I almost kind of agree with that. Like,
yeah,
I don't necessarily think that the ability to change between two specs out in the world would be like, we should keep that, just because of like Pat and Olivia were saying earlier, like healers would revolt. Like, they would just start killing everyone. Tanks too, to a certain degree, but yeah, that would be a mess. Like, oh, I'm out doing my daily quests while I'm queued up for LFR. Whoops, have to hearth back to Orgrimmar to change specs before I accept
wow.
No,
can you imagine?
Right. Please,
that's crazy.
No. But
that's just insane.
I almost feel like if there was some way for them to just say, okay, well, you can save your bars for all 3 specs. You might have to go to a class trainer to change one of your specs into something else. But we'll remember where your bars were set up for Affliction. We'll remember where they were set up for Demonology. We'll remember where they were set up for Destruction. That could work.
Even just as, like, I'm PvPing at the moment on my Shadow Priest, badly, I'd like to add, as a disclaimer. But, like, where you want to switch around your talents, could that oh my god, my brain, could that Void Tendrils talent just not permanently occupy that slot I put it in? Even if I don't have it, could it maybe just grey out rather than disappearing? Could I just save that, oh yeah, this team I need Void Tendrils set of bars, and then have the other, okay, this team I need my Psyfiend set of bars, and okay, this team I need Dominate Might. Like, could they just not stay there? Because then you go in and you see, all right, this is the other team. Got to do this. I got to do that. I got to drag it all out of my spellbook onto my. Oh, it's so annoying, you guys. It's so annoying. Just remember it. Just be like, yeah, this one.
There are, and I see Downpour saying this in the chat room. There are add-ons that actually do that now. And it's kind of interesting because Dual Spec was an add-on before Dual Spec was added to the game too. Yeah. So maybe that's what this is going to end up being. Maybe as more people start to look at this and say, you know what, I'll go ahead and use this. Like, I'm going to install I keep forgetting to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and install the add-on so that, because that's all I care about really. Like, I will hearth in the middle of the raid, talk to my trainer for half a second, and then get a summon back. I happen to be a warlock. I can do it myself, literally. I can just do that. Yeah. And that's not a thing. So I almost feel like if they do add a storing bars thing, that will be more like Tri-Spec than Tri-Spec. Like, that will be more what people want than Tri-Spec.
There's the pitch right there. More Tri-Spec than Tri-Spec.
More Tri-Spec than Tri-Spec. I know. I think I would also want... I personally, for someone who plays the same spec in 2 different situations quite a lot, I can totally see myself having Elemental, Resto, for example. Frost, Fire, Prot, something else. Or Prot, Ret, something along those lines. Like, they have the PvP stuff and the PvE stuff. Because the amount of times I get into my raid, and it's like I raid like once a week. So casual, it's not even funny. And I'm going in and I'm like, healing all the stuff. Like, I have 3 hours a week. Wow. And I'm just healing all the stuff, and I'm casting my lightning bolts, and I'm like, still in my PvP glyphs. But hey, look, my stun totem's got a really short recharge. Yay. Like, I'd love that. I mean, I've seen people in chat saying that Bartender can do that thing with the bars earlier. I haven't found that yet. Because it's not changing spec. It's changing talent.
Somebody say Bartender? I need a drink.
Yeah. And Dominoes as well. Like, interesting.
Pizza?
Dominoes at the bar?
Dominoes at the bartender? Yeah, I think storing the bars would be cool. But they need to store the rest. One more bit
before we get to the viewer questions. This is actually kind of neat. So during patch 5.2 PTR, there was an item data mine called the Burning Seed. The description of the item made it sound like it was a consumable version of the Druid Staff from Firelands that gives you the Fiery Cat form. And everyone kind of thought it just never made it in game, like one of those things that you just sort of like, just there out in the ether, and Blizzard doesn't decide to put it in. Until, I think, yesterday, depending on when you're watching this, but it might have been, Critho posted this. These items do exist in game as of patch 5.2. They're difficult to find, and druids are the only ones able to loot them. But once found, they should be considered an item well earned and extremely cherished. Once that was said, basically, it didn't take really long for people to find them. They're on the ground by the portal that activates after you kill Balrog, by the way. So there you go. Spoiler.
Spoilers.
But I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of nuts. Like reading this, it was kind of nuts that in this day and age that Blizzard like put stuff out that people actually like no one really knew about this until they actually had to make a post about this.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of I don't know. I kind of think they should have just kept quiet on this and just seen how long it takes people to find it.
Yes.
The problem is that anybody that's doing Firelands right now is not paying attention to Firelands. They're blazing right through it.
Like
so
blazing. I see what you did there.
Exactly. So it's but after the show, I'm gonna be doing a Firelands run. So
all of a sudden,
so that I can get these things.
Coinkydink.
So I can capture them all, right? You just want to collect them all, and I have the staff anyway, so I probably don't need it.
I just wonder how many druids who are still farming that staff never got it. They're like, I want to get this staff. Just walked right past these things.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Many times, right?
The staff didn't drop again.
It's Major Domo who drops the Fandrel's Flame Scythe, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you do actually have to walk past the portal to even be able to farm for the staff. But I mean, they're very, very small, and they're just kind of on the ground next to the portal that you can take from the entrance to get to right after Balrog. And if you're just if you're a level 90, just sort of face rolling through Firelands, which you can do no problem, especially after Balrog. He's not terribly hard to solo. There's like one mechanic. Then you just kind of get to you go like, okay, well, here's Major Domo. Sorry, I blanked out there for a second. Here's Major Domo, and I guess he has Balrog actually is kind of difficult to solo. Anyway, whatever. Here's Major Domo, and all right, he's dead. Didn't drop the staff. All right, that's it for this week. Like how many druids are kicking themselves right now, going, "Oh, I was just in there yesterday."
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just like it's not like people go back to that portal either. Like if you just killed Major Domo and you're sort of thinking, "Shucks, no staff for me this week," and you're not going to be like, "Oh, let me just pop back to the portal and zoom around here a little bit." You're going to be like, "Okay, bye, Hearthstone. Angry now." It's so cool though. I kind of wish that Christo, like, I don't know. It's just what would have how long would it have taken? It's
years and years.
And Squishy's even saying,
we kind of crunch the numbers.
No, I am bad at maths, Brian Holinka. You can do that.
And we just decided to clue you all in because you're a bunch of
I thought that was a beer and it's a microphone.
It's a microphone. I'm gonna hold the mic like DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Well, it's funny. Like one thing that Squishy's actually saying in the chat room right now is you can actually you don't even have to kill a boss to get them. Apparently, you can actually go up, pull a Lys Resor, just survive long enough to get one of the flying feathers, which doesn't take long, and you pick that up. In fact, the feathers drop right away. So all you have to do is not stand in the bad for 10 seconds.
All you have to do is not die to the strafing run. And then get the feather.
Pick up the feather. You can just fly over to the portal. You don't even have to have killed Balrog. No. You can just fly over the thing, just directly over to the portal over there, and just pick up the seeds right like that. Apparently.
So what's everyone who has a druid doing right after Legendary? Be honest,
going to the iTunes store and downloading the Gamebreaker app. That's what they're doing.
Oh, that's first, and then after that, Firelands.
Yeah, after that, obviously.
Actually, no. You know what they're doing? They're going to go watch Conspiracy Craft.
Oh, sure.
We have a new World of Warcraft show all about lore, and it's called Conspiracy Craft with Missy and Olivia and myself.
It's not about Josh.
It's not about Josh.
It's not about Josh.
It's not about Josh Allen. It's about lore, but not about that kind of lore. It's about World of Warcraft lore, like stories. And Missy tells me stories, and I'm slowly learning. God damn those old gods. This week's
She's amazing.
Good. Well
She's
done.
amazing with stories.
And the typos. The typos are amazing.
Yes, they are amazing. Go check it out. Go check out Conspiracy Craft. I think we just did episode 3. So we're only on 3rd episode. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show, actually, because it's still kind of a work in progress, and we're working out the kinks with only 3 episodes. So please leave us a comment on the show and tell us what you think about the show. If you have any ideas, suggestions, we're still working it all out, but it's a great show. Check it out, Conspiracy Craft. All right, let's do some viewer questions. If you guys have viewer questions for the Legendary Crew, make sure you send them in to submit@gamebreaker.tv. And we love video questions. What happened to our video questions? We just get them all the time. Don't let me down.
Yeah.
Send us some video questions. Record yourself. Post it up on YouTube. Send us the link. Submit at GameBreaker.tv is the email. You can send us the link to the YouTube, and we will show it on the show. And also keep an eye on our Facebook page. We ask for questions there as well as facebook.com/GameBreakerTV. So first up this week, not from Brian Holinka, is from Adam Rasmussen. He's working on his shouts, and he took an arrow to the knee. I had to go for it. Adam says, for someone who quit shortly after launch of MOP, is there a bigger reason to come back to the game now? The daily grind became tiresome quickly. Interesting, first of all, because like left right after MOP, and man, I was just having this conversation with friends last night, and we were talking about MOP, and I was just like, man, everyone I know pretty much goes out on a limb. The MOP is the best expansion that World of Warcraft has ever made, and everybody's super happy with it.
It is now, you know, and we were talking about it earlier in the show. 5.0 was tough. I mean, for a lot of people, the grind was really grindy, and now they've lessened that a little bit. They actually just came out with a new guide for people that are coming back and trying to gear up. So go to worldofwarcraft.com, and they just put up a new post about it, about how you can gear up the best way possible, and the fastest way possible for 5.3, which is pretty cool.
So what we're just feeding off what you just said, because you said the grind was kind of tough in 5.0, and yeah. Adam's issue here is that the daily grind became kind of tiresome. So,
right.
Do you think that at this point it's a really good time for them to come back because it's kind of been alleviated?
I think that the quest, the rep grinds especially, those are non-existent if you don't want to do them. So, I mean, there are still some grindy parts of WoW, definitely, especially when you work with lesser charms and all that kind of quirky stuff that you're trying to do for gearing up in raid content. But if you're just coming back right now, I mean, I think it's lessened a lot from where we were just a few short months ago.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like again, I've mentioned it before. I'm kind of an alt-aholic person, but I like to have them all at 90 and geared. So I'm not one of those people who has the low level out so much. But it's like I've now got several 90s, and in 5.0, I mean, I leveled 3 of them very, very quickly, and just sort of got them up to 90, and was sort of looking at gearing them. And it was kind of like logging in and seeing the amount of stuff that you had to do, or felt that you had to do. And even with my sort of very childish stamping feet, avoiding dailies approach, there was still a lot to be done. And you had this sort of feeling like there was such a long list of stuff to do that you almost felt like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but like we had to write a really, really huge essay, and it's got to be like 10,000 words, and you're just like, you can't even get started because it's just so much to do. It's overwhelming. And I went through a few weeks at the start of Mists of Pandaria, having leveled my 90s, my first few 90s, feeling like that. And that sucked. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you just had one character, and that was the sort of philosophy behind it, and it was, to me, so wrong-headed. And I'm so glad it's getting better. And I really do think that now there's so many catch-up mechanisms that are slowly starting to creep in. It's not like Cataclysm, but there are so many catch-up mechanisms. Like, for example, the Thunder Isle stuff. Excuse me. If you can just go straight over there, and you can start doing your dailies and get your Kirin Tor rep, you've got your random running dungeons to get the PvP gear, the 476 PvP gear, get yourself over there, and you sort of leapfrog into the Throne of Thunder raid finder. And then you're kind of good to go. Like, there's not the freaking golden freaking lotus. Oh my God. They're gone. They're being dealt with. They're nerfed heavily. And it's better. It's getting better and better. And 5.3 will be even better again. But don't wait till then, because you need to get into this tier. Because it's a good tier.
It is.
I'll just add that definitely go and read that blog post that Pat mentioned. Because it is actually, I was reading through it while Olivia was talking. It is actually pretty exhaustive. It has a pretty good list at the bottom, especially, where there's just like tons of different. Here's what you can do. Go do any of this stuff. It will help you gear up in a hurry. Yep. It's none of which is do all of your dailies every single week. I'll point out.
Right.
And also, I helped on the blog post. I actually.
Yay!
Aww.
Aww. Does it say just do the dungeons for the 476 PvP gear, Josh Allen?
That may have been one of the suggestions I made.
All right, next up this week from Jeremy Tracy. Jeremy says, do you think Hearthstone will be a feature in-game, or do you feel it won't have enough of a following to be considered? Well, that's kind of a black and white question right there. It's kind of an
dense fighting words.
I would say neither.
I'm kind of going to go with you. Go ahead, take it.
Yeah, I think Hearthstone is, like, from the little bit I've seen of it so far, it looks pretty awesome, and the amount of time that I've lost playing freaking Order and Chaos duels on my iPad, I'm gonna lose even more time playing Hearthstone. Like, it's a proven concept. It can very much work, but I don't think we'll see it in World of Warcraft because it's a separate title. It's like asking, will the new StarCraft expansion be in World of Warcraft? No, it's a different game.
Yeah, really.
What do you guys think about? Do you think they're gonna? I agree. I think it's gonna be wildly popular, but I gotta think that they're gonna do tie-ins though. There's gonna be.
They are doing tie-ins. There's already tie-ins. Sure. There's already tie-ins been announced. There's the 2 mounts, the glowy pony thingies.
So it's not gonna be in game, but yes, it will be in game. Like that to me is in game.
Yeah, they're gonna link them together.
You're gonna log into World of
stupid.
Warcraft and play Hearthstone.
No.
It's all about synergy.
Yeah.
It's all about.
I think it's gonna be wildly popular. I can't wait for it.
It's Blizzard's first free-to-play. So people are going to check it out based on that, if nothing else. They're like, wait, Blizzard made a free-to-play? What?
Right. Does anybody else think it's going to be? Does anyone else here, Olivia or Pat, do you guys think that it would be in-game? Do you think there's a possibility we would ever see it in World of Warcraft? Like sit down with somebody at a table or something and play Hearthstone?
I suppose you could.
I'd be surprised. I mean, maybe the in-game... I was just thinking about the in-game browser and whether it could possibly ever work through that somehow. I mean, I know obviously now it's just for clarity, it's not a browser game. And that's just not what it is right now. But that doesn't mean it necessarily will never be, I guess. I mean, Blizzard have had mini games within WoW before through a third party. There was that one, I can't remember what either of them were called, but they briefly existed.
Yeah, there was a couple of PopCap games where they had...
That's right, PopCap.
It was Peggle and Bejeweled were both. Yep. But those were coded entirely using the Lua scripting engine, which I imagine they're probably not coding Hearthstone anymore.
No, I can't think why you think that, Josh. Wow.
If they did it, they'd have to probably try to modify the pet battle system, right? So somehow to make that work, and I don't know if that would actually.
I tell you what, there'd probably be a spectator mode in Hearthstone.
Right.
There's. I'm pretty sure they said there's going.
Of course,
to be.
They would tick that box.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Tick that box. Let everybody get spectator mode in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, this week from Steven Scott. Steven says, should Lore be promoted to chief hair consultant upon arrival at Blizzard? I think that is an absolute 1000% yes, and I don't have to ask anybody else.
Have you seen my head? No. Don't put me in charge of it. I can't even manage my own head. Don't put me in charge of anyone else's.
Josh Allen, I can't even manage my own head. Josh Allen, aka Lore. Follow him on the Twitter at Devolore, DEVOLORE. And for the next few weeks, make sure to go over to tankspot.com, watch the weekly Mario PST and all that other good stuff, including Legendary right here. You've only got a couple weeks left of Mr. Allen and his content, so don't miss an episode. Olivia D. Grace, follow her on the Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. Of course, go over to GameBreaker.tv and read all her World of Warcraft coverage right here on the network, as well as Conspiracy Craft. Don't forget, she's on Conspiracy Craft as well. And soon to be shooting trebuchets and crossbows at a LARP near you. Pat Krane, host of Convert to Raid. Follow him on the Twitter at Pat Krane. Make sure to go over to Convert to Raid. Check out their show. They do a cracking, awesome job. Always a pleasure, sir.
My pleasure.
Wow, look at this. Oh, look at that camera. It's frozen.
Wow, yeah, it really is.
I'm really not doing that. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing that. Come on over to GameBreaker.tv. I don't know what happened.
Wow.
Camera's just like, I'm shitting the bed. Whatever, bro.
That's cool.
I'm done. You can follow me on Twitter, Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV, Gamebreaker TV. Don't forget about our iPhone app. Go check it out. Search Gamebreaker on the iOS store, and I'm sure you will find it. I don't hate the Android people. Let's get a handle on it, and hopefully we can get you an Android app at some point. One last thing I should mention, because I got to keep remembering this. The next month and a half is actually going to be a pretty difficult month as far as like times of shows and scheduling and stuff. There's some stuff going on. Shows will happen. I don't think it's going to affect Legendary, but if you guys, you should pay attention to the Twitter and the Facebook and all that kind of stuff, just because things are going to get kind of mixed around. Just a little bit of a chaotic month, and we're going to have to change days and times on certain shows, but all of them will be available on GameBreaker.tv as soon as they're done, so don't fear about that. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for walking in. R.I.P. Hannah.